Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the Art Review series. And today we'll be checking out the work of Lucia Hsiang, freelance artist, Chinese. So I did find this artist recently here on the Instagram, and they do focus mainly on character design, character art. And I think in the last video we did review the work of Thibaut Cart something. So I guess Lucia, I did recommend Lucia in the recommended artists in that video description. Only because, or mainly because, obviously they do both character or focus on character art slash design. But I think for Lucia, it's not just like real world types of clothing or attire. She does. I'm guessing it's a she. She does she does focus on like sci-fi sometimes or fantasy concepts. Sometimes it's like this where it's based on like realistic fashion. Um, yeah. Oh, and in regards to how she renders, I think it's mainly like I've seen this style before. It's quite common in gaming, or not all, but in some gaming like concept art where they focus a lot on hard like shapes. It's a no texture kind of rendering style, where the shapes are a lot more apparent. It's almost like a gouache painting, but vector like in a way, just because of how sharp those edges are. And you do see a lot of these value like separations essentially. I think on YouTube there's an artist named Tanalieku, or slash Nataliia Paints. There are two different channels on YouTube, but it's from the same person. And I think she also has a similar style where it's kind of like this, no texture brush, but it's heavy on like the shapes and not much blending involved. It used to like not bother me, but I wasn't as attracted to the style, but I think it kind of grew on me eventually. And for this one, it does have some gradients. You can tell by say how this part is a bit darker, becomes lighter as you go to the top. Same thing here for this. Uh, that's a cool jacket. It's like super short. And it stops around the upper torso. Pretty cool. Um, I love the hips. Anyway, uh, and yeah, but the gradients are like super. It's kind of like a wash thing where it's not everywhere. It's just in some parts. But most of it is sculpted, I guess, harshly. Yeah. So they do have some occasional like drawings, I guess, done traditionally. So there's that, but you can tell even when they do line work, they do emphasize like the shapes a lot. It seems a lot more sharp, the word. Some studies here, I'm not sure if it's like an OC thing or a fan art piece, but again, no texture brushes here. Like let me just draw something. Every shape just seems like it's on its own. And you don't see a lot of like gradients or soft brushes being used. I mean, occasionally here and there, but it's mainly very like clear, and you don't even see a lot of opacity. It's mostly opaque. I mean, maybe here in this part, but in general, their art style is fairly like strong shapes, no line work, opaque, and heavy on these sorts of like shapes. Like everything is like chunked out, which is very common in like gouache paintings. Although for gouache, I've seen other people who like they know how to blend with gouache, but because it is because it is an opaque medium, people tend to gravitate to this kind of approach where the values are chunked out in these sorts of like shapes. Pretty cool. And I guess it saves time because you don't have to blend as much. For those of you who have used like Photoshop, there's a filter called cutout or cutout filter. Basically, it transforms your image into like these little shapes, and you can even adjust like how big or how prominent those shapes are. But it's kind of like you're cutting out from a magazine and creating like a Jesus. Why can't I talk? It looks somewhat collage-ish or collage-esque or collage adjacent. Looks like a Korean guy, typical, or one of those red note freaking dudes. Jesus. And yeah, it works. It works. This kind of style where you don't really blend stuff, where you create the gradation of values with um clear shapes instead of like soft brushes or some kind of gradient tool. I'm not sure what program she's using, but it doesn't matter. I'm guessing because for the artist I mentioned before or previously, Tanalieku or Nataliia paints, she does use Procreate, I believe, on her iPad. So I don't know, but yeah, you can get away with creating images with creating images without necessarily having to use like the mixer brush or soft brushes or brushes with like that have some kind of opacity that's also affected by the pen pressure of your pen. It reminds me of another concept artist. I'm forgetting their name, but they do a lot of concepts involving tigers. Like there's gonna be a person in the foreground, mostly fantasy concepts, but like lions, tigers, panthers in the background, really saturated colors, and they paint mainly with the basic hard round brush, and it doesn't even have pen pressure. Uh, whether it's for the opacity or for um the actual like thickness of the pen, it's just like one solid round brush. They're kind of a well-known artist, but sadly, I'm forgetting their name. Like these ones where you have like where you have a bunch of characters and then the white background reminds me a lot of Tebow Cart, a maid guy, kind of hot. Come on. And yeah, you could also try using the lasso fill tool. I've seen other artists create these kinds of concepts with the lasso fill tool. I could also maybe recommend Hue, HEUU underscore underscore or something. Um, they have a similar style where it's shape heavy, kind of like this, but they don't rely too much on texture brushes. And basically, the silhouette is very clear. If you take away all of these values inside and turn these characters into just like a black silhouette, it's still like strong and you kind of know what they're doing. And I think Hue does the same thing in their work, where take away all the colors and everything within the silhouette. The silhouette itself is like super strong. Very cool. Here we have like an ink sketch done traditionally with a, what is that, a Sakura pen brush or something? Um, oh wow. Right? Look at how this light part of the shoulder sort of becomes darker over time, but they don't use, it's all like segmented. Maybe that's the word I was looking for. It's like segmented into like these things. I know not everyone is into this kind of thing, but I think it's a style that has grown into me or that I've grown to love. Uh, and it takes a little bit of I guess that's Lucia, so it is a girl. There you go. Am I? Okay, she does do traditional sketches here and there. As you can tell, she mainly focuses on character concepts, designs, art. In this case, she's using a blue pencil or color pencil. Pretty cool, right? I'm not sure. I'm not a gamer, so I can't remember the actual games, but it's such a like it's already a well established sort of look like this approach. Um, I think it's some kind of multiplayer game. Uh, let me just zoom in on this one. Look at that. I mean, the only textures I see here is like the background, but that's it. Everything is chunked out, segmented, and I think it's not just about the look, but it does save a lot of time because you don't have to worry about painting over something multiple times, which does happen when you have a brush that has opacity, you know. But if it's just one solid hard brush, once you make a mark, it's there, and if you don't like that mark, you can just paint over it very quickly. And I think for styles like this, using the lasso tool or the lasso fill tool in Clip Studio Paint, I think is going to be a good time saver or a tool to use along with your sort of main hard round brush. I love the gray hair or silver hair. So she does, you can see it sort of in this specific sketch where she does sketch it out first with some like pencil lines. It seems a lot or pretty gestural just to kind of lay in the proportions and everything. But once that's done, then she'll start chunking out the like the hair, the bracelets. So you do need some layering here. It just helps you save time. For example, once you have like the silhouette of this dress done, right over here, all you have to do is just um, create a bunch of layers on top of this like silhouette and turn those into like a clipping layer, and then you can start doing these sorts of things. And everything you paint will just affect this dress silhouette. Same thing here. You can tell that these bracelets were just like they're in their own sort of layer, and then you have a bunch of layers on top to paint these like these highlights. Yeah, that also adds to the time saving sort of um yeah element to it. Reference photo. Again, the silhouette is strong. You can tell they did take some creative liberty to change everything within that, but the whole silhouette is just like a solid copy. Everything within that has been changed. Um, and yeah, sometimes for me anyway, I do struggle with using references. Like whenever I have this thing with me, I end up just copying the whole thing, like 1:1. So you don't have to always change the whole thing, but if you're having trouble, maybe just change, like keep the silhouette maybe, but change what's inside it. So I think that's a good sort of starting point for you to start developing your detachment to references and to help train your mind to take a little more creative liberty with the references that you have kind of with you. Some ninja samurai esque warrior babes. Pretty cool. I love the gold armor or the gold sort of aesthetics here. It reminds me a lot of the work of Wallop, just because it's kind of a common theme in their uh, artwork. I know there are a lot more artists who do this kind of style, but I just can't remember them. But if you know any, I do recommend you link them down or mention them in the description below. Oh, she's hot. Kind of like a pirate or something, or one of those high class babes. Yeah, I don't see any. I mean, look at this whole leg here. It's just like one shape. It doesn't even have any like values anymore. And that's kind of the cool thing. You don't have to uh, paint every detail, right? Given that this leg is further down and it's also kind of set back, it's the leg furthest back. You can kind of tell what it is because this leg already has the details. So it's a great way to save time. Um, Same thing here in some parts of the back here. You're only seeing some reflective elements here, but that's mostly to indicate obviously some lighting, but about the texture of this pants. It's a bit like leather-esque, you know? And this sort of white, is it a dress? You can see that some light is seeping through, so it's a little bit see-through. You know, that's the thing about these styles. How do you draw or illustrate see-through? I mean, it's possible, but I mean, you can just change the opacity maybe, but it kind of takes away from the opaque look of this style. So that's kind of a concern of mine. I think this is the Final Fantasy dude. Am I? Oh, I think that's his girlfriend in the back, kind of. Oh, this is from the anime. I forgot it. Spy X Family. Come on, really cute. I mean, even if it's like, oh, is it Anya, the dog? Um, even if it's like it's like a one shot. It doesn't even have perspective. It's like an elevation, flat view. But you know, there's still quite a bit of storytelling going on here, and the whole forehead to forehead thing. Ugh, maybe I'm just jealous or something. It's mostly again very opaque. The shapes are so obvious. Looks like the cutout filter. Not much blending, but you do see a gradient. For example, this sort of thing. It does get darker at the bottom and gets lighter as you go to the top. But I think you do that kind of afterward. Like once you've sculpted everything with this kind of approach, with this cutout shape heavy approach, then you add these like overall gradients to add a bit of like atmosphere. Because if it's all like flats, it can be a bit too flat. But if you have like one wash of like gradient, in this case one wash of dark to light, maybe use the gradient. You create a new layer, and then use some kind of gradient tool or a big soft brush, and then you color this part in black or something, and then let everything on top be like white or transparent. I think that's enough. Kind of like adding a noise filter in the end. It just adds a bit of something, or using the sharpen sort of filter. It just adds a little bit of extra something to not make your work too boring. Is this from the cyberpunk, like the blonde chick? Oh, it's a he. Wait, no way. His back. Oh, it's a guy. Because there's a character in the cyberpunk's anime, Edge Runners. Uh, it's a blonde chick who has kind of the same haircut style, and she's kind of a heavy set, like a power lifter type of build. So I don't know. It kind of reminded me of that character. Very hot, but who's Vash? No idea. Oh, it's Vash, but I have no idea who Vash is. That's kind of the issue here. So I think it's from like I'm not even gonna bother, but am I? So we have like a normal girl, nice jacket. Uh, there's a bit of saturation in the shadows here, but kind of like Tebow Cart, they don't use a lot of like hue variety in their work. They just sort of stick to like one main color. For example, for the skin, there's just like one major thing, and then everything else is like analogous to that main like base color. And it works. Not everything has to have variety, you know? Like in the case of like Lucia over here, no hue variety, no brush variety. Um, but those are kind of locked off. But they do compensate with the shapes just look interesting, right? And you have to be careful because you can overdo it. Like you need to know which shape can be simplified into like one big shape. For example, for this part over here in the leg, it's just like one big shape. But you will see some variations, right? Some slight shifts in value or hue, but it's mostly like one big thing. And it would look really bad if like you had so many segments. Like you don't need to do that. For example, same thing here for this leg. Some difference here, some difference here, some difference here, but that's it. In a way, it's kind of like an active style because you have to, because you don't have other tools to rely on, like the mixer brush or soft brushes. You have to sort of stick to one medium, and having limitations, I think, can help you be a little more engaged, right? In some way. So here are some line drawings. So her draftsmanship skills are pretty good too. And I guess maybe this is how the concepts start out as drawings, and then so chunk it out with these sorts of like, or with this kind of approach. Oh wow, nice back. Yeah. Ooh. I have a lot of references, or I follow a lot of accounts that have like good pictures. But the thing is, a lot of the people, whether they're men or women, they seem to rely too much on the phone and on this kind of pose where you can see them holding the phone. So to me, that's kind of annoying sometimes. I'm not saying they should make content for me, but obviously, if I'm looking for good references, I want them hands free, without the cell phone. Um, but yeah, and it's sad because they look good in their like, I don't know, cosplay or something, but they keep having like the same pose, like they're in front of a mirror taking like a selfie with the cell phone. Cleopatra, pretty hot. Chainsaw Man. Oh, I think this is supposed to be Aki. Oh, in this case, his ponytail is kind of down. Kawaii. Look at that body, though. Easy. Oh, I see a bit of blues in the pants. Same thing for this, like, band-aid and the towel. Sorry. Excuse me. I think adding those touches of blues, it could be a reflection of the background or the environment, kind of reflected lighting bouncing on his or to his skin or clothing. But I think it works well too with his hair because his hair is blue, so it just sort of unifies everything, right? Wow. Some studies. So again, drawings first, or and then we have some painted studies over here. Damn, look at that waist. Very grabbable. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. Some people just have nice thin waists. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, how do the organs even like function at that point? But look at that. Even if this is not the style you're going for, I think it's good to study this way where you're just heavily focused on or limiting yourself to just hard brushes and creating like a gradation of values without having to use like soft brushes or gradients. I think it's a great exercise for you to try out. Um, Man, this hair looks so good. And you'll notice with this kind of style, everything just seems chunked out. Like there's no, it's not impressionistic. Maybe within each like shape. Let me just zoom in. Shit. Let me just zoom in again. Maybe For example, for this woman over here, I mean, look at how the jacket is like one thing, the bra is one thing, the hair, this whole hair thing is just it's like one big shape. So maybe you can get a bit more crazy or loose the moment you paint within that, but most of it, like it's so clear cut, everything is like clear. The edges, there's no like nuance, there's no like fading out. It's just, it's a cutout basically. Maybe I'll call it the cutout style. Pretty cool. Or with a lightsaber. Oh, so this one does have a bit of a see-through effect. I think I briefly mentioned. Like how can you illustrate see-through materials with this kind of style? So it is possible. In this case, what she's wearing is somewhat plasticky, or yeah. But even the fact that I can even tell that it is like of this kind of texture shows you that she did a good job in knowing where to place the lighter values. In this case, it's going to be this lime green kind of thing, right? And it's going to be more prominent in between her legs over here. So it is possible. I guess you just need to be a little more observant with your references. I did see her, like she had like a lizard something as a reference. Oh, let's look at these two. Oh, can I? Surprise. Wow. I love the reflections here. And the fact that there's blue indicates there's some kind of like water or sky involved. This one just looks like a straight up Instagram model, right? Maybe she's. No. I was gonna say something, but same thing here. Pretty cool. Right? You don't even have to do like the full figure. You can even cut off the legs or just focus on like the head, maybe parts of the neck. Nice studies. Yeah, I'm trying to look for the lizard. Oh, this one. So look at what she did. She had this reference. She painted it again, or painted it with this kind of style, with this hard cut out style, as I would call it. And then she applied these, or what she learned from this study, into her like character design art, right? I guess how you don't see a lot of lizard concept here, but I think she wanted to study maybe the blues a little bit. Because this iguana thing, I think it's an iguana. It's mainly blue, but it has a bit of like a yellow at the, like the pointy things at its back. So kind of, she applied that concept where it's mainly blue, but the accent color is this sort of yellow thing. Right? Even the way she was able to like study this iguana thing or this lizard and make it into this hard edge cutout style is pretty impressive. Right? It's so cool. I feel really bad because I can't remember the. For those of you who are into concept art, I'm really trying to remember the guy's name because I don't think I've done an RGB of the guy before. I just remember seeing like lions, like cat, sort of feline creatures. I think his concept is or concept art is heavy on the fantasy side. There are still human figures, but it's the hard round brush with no opacity. Let me just see if there are more photos. Oh no, they're just close-ups. But yeah, I really like this piece. Pretty cool. Um, oh, Cyberpunk. Forgot her name. I won't spoil it, but She's cool. She's a very cool character. Here we have a different sort of thing. The inspiration is a bird, or this specific bird. She did a copy of it or a study of it with this sort of cutout filter approach or style. And then she applied that into this character. And you know what? Maybe it's not just about the colors. Maybe like the vibe or the pose, maybe. She tries to capture it a bit and apply it into her character art. She does have a couple of these. Pretty cool. Look at the way she was able to illustrate the feathers. It's always like a tricky thing because sometimes we think about, or I think about like drawing or illustrating like angel wings, and usually angel wings have like feathers, right? So, but the thing that's sort of stopping me from doing that is like, do I have to draw every single like feather? Like how to illustrate and save time, being efficient in like how do you draw something that's repetitive, kind of like these feathers? Um, in this case, if you look at her, she was able to capture a bit of the hue variety. It's still analogous, everything is like warm gray, but you see these like browns or cool blues here and there. I'm not sure if she's color picking. It doesn't really matter, but the point is, it's not just one gray. For example, here you see something that's a bit green. This one seems more blue, but they're all kind of grayish or brownish. Very interesting. This one seems more like a cowgirl, maybe a Native American, right? Concept. Pretty cool. Flamingo. Oh, horse. This guy just looks so elegant. Um, oh yeah, I think it's not just the colors; it's the vibe of the reference. For example, for this reference of the horse, it seems so like gallant. Is that a word, gallant? Just like super, like high class and epic. You can kind of feel it with this pose as well. Him with his like big sword, with this sort of pose, very confident, very Chad esque or Chad adjacent. And yeah, hard brushes everywhere. Hard brushes, Jesus, everywhere. I apologize for this episode being a bit crazy. But oh, what kind of cat is this? It almost looks like the cat is wearing some kind of fur. It does have fur, but it does have fur. But what I mean is, like this part over here, it's like one of those like I don't think it's as common because of ethics or something. But I kind of wish she would apply it here too. Like she would have like a fluffy sort of thing, kind of around her neck, right? Maybe some cat ears. Just come on, cat ears, come on. But it's still cool. I like it. Damn, so pretty. Oh yeah, I think I did an art review recently of someone who also did the same thing. Let me just, I'm not gonna find her name, but they use animals as well to reference their like poses. Um, and it shows you that you don't have to like if you're trying to create human characters, you don't have to just rely on human references. But obviously, like you need an actual reference maybe if you're struggling with like the anatomy. But the point is, you can get inspiration from animals as well, or pretty much anything that's not human. And I think that's a great challenge or exercise. Pick some kind of photo, maybe in this case an animal, and see what you can do with it. Or try to turn that into like a human sort of concept. Arcane? V? Who's V? Is this Arcane? Oh, it is Arcane. Why? You know what? I guess that's it for this art review of. I think this episode is kind of running long, 30 plus minutes. Um, and yeah. So if you are interested in this cutout style, I do recommend you check out the work of Lucia over here. I will link this page in the description below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'm just scrolling to see more stuff. Oh, it's Spike's family again. Oh, I like this one. Um, and yeah, bye.